Hey Recording Academy, can you give BTS a Grammy, please? BTS has paved their way to a #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and their back catalogue of incredible music has all of the artistic and technical merits required to take home a gilded gramophone once and for all. And as A.R.M.Y knows, what Yoongi wants, Yoongi gets.
Maybe Grammy?
Grammy, there you go.
Hey guys, I'm Brian, and I'm about to tell you why BTS, aka Billboard Hot 100 #1 artists, so richly deserves a Grammy. I'll also explain what's standing in the way, and why it's in the best interest of the Recording Academy to give BTS an award this year. Cup of milk, let's rock and roll. BTS's global domination is undeniable. With their latest single, Dynamite, BTS has reached what is perhaps the pinnacle of success in the US music industry, topping the Billboard Hot 100. They're the first Asian act to achieve that in a whopping 57 years. 57 years! The song sold a massive 300,000 copies in its first week, and had the largest digital sales week since Taylor Swift's Look What You Made Me Do almost 3 years ago. Dynamite smashed YouTube's 24-hour viewership record with 101.1 million views in a single day, and is the group's most successful radio single to date, currently sitting pretty at number 14 on the weekly US Top 40 radio chart, according to Mediabase. And thanks to the sustained efforts of both BTS and A.R.M.Y, the song continues to light up the charts. While Dynamite represents BTS's biggest success so far in the West, it's hardly their first, or fifth, or am I the only one who's lost count at this point? Commercial achievements aside, BTS has proven themselves as deeply affecting artists. Their music addresses difficult topics such as societal expectations, self-love, and one's deepest, darkest fears, inspiring millions of fans to look inward and truly face themselves. Most US award shows are finally beginning to recognize BTS's dominance. Unlike South Korean acts to come before them, BTS has performed at all 4 major US award shows: the American Music Awards, the Billboard Music Awards, the MTV Video Music Awards, and of course, the Grammys. BTS has won 4 American Music Awards, Favorite Social Artist in 2018 and 2019, and Favorite Duo or Group in Pop or Rock, and Tour of the Year in 2019. They beat Grammy-winning acts like Ariana Grande and Elton John. They've won 4 Billboard Music Awards, Top Social Artist in 2017 and 2018 and 2019, and Top Duo or Group in 2019, beating Grammy-winning acts like Maroon 5 and Imagine Dragons. BTS has won 6 MTV VMAs, including Best Group for the past 2 years, and Best Pop and Best Choreography this year for their masterpiece, On. They beat Grammy-winning acts like Taylor Swift and 21 Pilots. I know, Black Swan deserved better. But BTS still hasn't taken home a Grammy. BTS has walked the red carpet at the Grammys twice. In 2019, they presented the award for Best R&B Album to Her. And during the 2020 ceremony, they appeared on stage as part of an epic performance of Lil Nas X's Old Town Road. However, they've been shut out from any major nomination, including last year. Love Yourself Tear was nominated for Best Recording Package at the 2019 Grammys, but it lost to St. Vincent's Mass Abduction. BTS's friend and collaborator Halsey posted this after last year's nominations dropped. Deleting and ignoring all negativity, BTS deserved many nominations. I am, however, unsurprised that they weren't acknowledged. The US is so far behind on the whole movement. The time will come. We know that BTS wants a Grammy nomination. Yoongi has mentioned the desire for a Grammy multiple times, and said it again during a press conference in September 2020 that I was lucky enough to attend. Still, the group is well aware of the obstacles that are standing in their way. Just listen to what Namjoon recently told Reuters.
Since we're like aliens to the music industry for America, so we don't know if there's a place for us or not, and as well, you know, Grammy's not like Billboard Hot 100. It's not like numbers. We don't know what's going on.
To understand why the Grammys hasn't given BTS the recognition they deserve, all you need to do is look at who else the Recording Academy, the non-profit that oversees the awards, has snubbed. Obviously, I'm talking about artists of colour.
The Lemonade album was just so monumental, Beyonce. It was so monumental.
Sure, these artists have won plenty of Grammys, but they're rarely for the major awards of the night, otherwise known as the general field: Album, Record and Song of the Year, and Best New Artist. These awards are not limited to any one genre, which means literally any artist from any genre should be eligible. But black artists are more likely to win awards in categories traditionally considered black, like rap and R&B. These artists have openly accused the Recording Academy of treating them unfairly. Back in 1989, that's the year I was born, so 31 years ago, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince himself, Will Smith, won the first ever Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance for their song Parents Just Don't Understand. But Smith boycotted the event because the Grammys didn't show the category on television, a move Smith called a slap in the face. I know what you're thinking, that was over 3 decades ago. Surely things have gotten better since then, right? Well, not really. Let's fast forward to 2016. Frank Ocean refused to submit his music for the awards, saying the Grammys, and I quote, "doesn't seem to be representing very well for people who come from where I come from." And in 2019, Drake, Childish Gambino and Kendrick Lamar all refused to perform at the awards ceremony. Look, the data doesn't lie. A black artist hasn't won Album of the Year since 2008, 12 years ago. In that same period, 1 has taken home Record of the Year, and just 2 have won Song of the Year. Note, these numbers don't include featured artists.
I'm John Vilanova, professor of practice in journalism and communication and Africana studies at Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And I focus really specifically on anti-Black racism and the ways that it manifests in media and in our popular music industry. They're a TV show, they're a media event, and they want to represent the diversity of the music industry and to draw a wide audience, even if they're going to make sure that they police the boundaries that these categories are. I believe, this is my analysis, that the general field is a very, very protected space. And what they essentially do, and what they have done over time, is that they've created these other categories, which, artists as recently as Tyler, the Creator, in recent years, suggested that what these categories are, in effect, are ghettoized categories. That they are constructed to make sure that you recognize lots of people, you persuade them to come to the awards, and then you get photos of Black artists with trophies.
When Black artists do win major Grammy Awards, they're often from outside what's considered mainstream hip-hop and R&B, like former child prodigy and classical pianist Alicia Keys, who won Song of the Year in 2002 for Fallen. If the situation is bad for Black artists, it's absolutely dire for Asians. The Recording Academy has recognized a few South Korean acts in its 6-decade history. Sumi Jo received 3 nominations and won the award for Best Opera Recording in 1993. South Korean sound engineer Byung-Joon Hwang won for Best Engineered Album in the classical category in 2012.
I feel like gratitude to all, friends and everybody who believed in me.
This makes Love Yourself Tears' nomination for Best Recording Package all the more impressive, but it also means that a nomination for BTS in one of the major categories would be absolutely groundbreaking, and yet it would make perfect sense for a group so used to paving the way. This poor representation of people of colour isn't surprising when you learn about the Grammys voting process and its history of lacking diversity. The Grammys work differently from the other major US award shows. For the American Music Awards, fans choose the winners. The MTV VMAs work in the same way with some exceptions. Billboard Music Awards are handed out based on sales, streams and other factors, though some categories, such as Top Social Artist, are also decided by the fans. The Grammys are described as the only peer-presented award to honour artistic achievement, technical proficiency and overall excellence in the recording industry, without regard to album sales or chart position. The trouble with these criteria is that they are incredibly vague. Music taste is hugely subjective and affected by biases and other factors.
Artistic achievement, technical proficiency, overall excellence. What does that actually mean? What does it mean to be excellent? Those words, and particularly when we're talking about it with regard to art, what makes one piece of art more excellent than another? And what they've done is that they've given themselves a really difficult task. What's really worth asking is, what do the Grammys tell us about how the music industry hears, contextualizes, and appraises music? And ultimately, one of the things that I've been finding is that, the racial dynamics of a historical moment and of a voting population and of genres and industry conventions and all of those things, that those wind up playing a pretty significant factor.
So how does the voting process work? The Recording Academy has around 12,000 eligible voting members. For the upcoming awards, entries must have been released between September 1st, 2019 and August 31st, 2020 to be eligible. The Academy organises these submissions by category and sends them to its voting members for a vote to determine around 20 artists per category. Nomination review committees trim these lists down to the official nominees, which will be announced later this year, typically in late November or early December. The nominees are sent back to the 12,000 voting members one more time who'll choose the winners ahead of the 63rd Grammys on January 31st, 2021. In January 2020, the Recording Academy's first ever female CEO, Deborah Dugan, accused it of manipulating the voting process, complaining that the nomination review committees chose artists with whom they have personal or business relationships. She even alleged that one person who ranked 18 out of 20 artists contending for Song of the Year in 2019 was allowed to sit in the same committee that reviewed their song, and they later received a nomination. Dugan said this decision pushed out two other artists, Ariana Grande and Ed Sheeran.
So for me, that's just such a blatant conflict of interest. This process, by the way, could be fair and transparent, and I believe artists, I believe the good people at the Recording Academy, for which there are so many good people on the board, they deserve better.
Days before she made her allegations, which also included claims of sexual harassment, the Academy placed Dugan on leave, accusing her of bullying an assistant. Dugan denied these allegations, and the Academy denied hers. She was later fired. The Academy said its review committees are a crucial part of the voting process. It said that while committee members can add some contenders in the smaller categories, this is to put out a list that is as current and relevant as we possibly can. The Academy insisted that these kinds of write-ins aren't possible in the major categories, and accused Dugan of failing to understand the process. The Recording Academy is diversifying who gets to vote for Grammys, even if it took the current socio-political climate to force its hand. After Alessia Cara was the only solo female artist to win a televised award in 2018, the Recording Academy's former CEO, Neil Portnow, said women need to step up. His implication that the onus was on women to make the awards more equal, and not on the Academy, sparked a backlash. Pink tweeted, "Women in music don't need to step up. Women have been stepping since the beginning of time." Pink, as well as Katy Perry, Charli XCX, and others who spoke out, had a point. One study found that just 10% of Grammy nominees between 2013 and 2019 were women. Portnow said his comment was taken out of context, but he announced the formation of an independent task force to promote diversity and inclusion, and later stepped down. The task force suggested 18 recommended changes, and the Academy agreed to 17 of them, like doubling the number of women voters by the year 2025. That all sounds great, but the task force later said, "We are deeply disappointed at the level of commitment by some of the Academy's leadership in effecting the kind of real and constructive change presented in our report." Still, in July 2020, the Academy invited 2,300 new members, 79% of whom are eligible to vote. Almost half of the new members are women. 21% are of African American or African descent, 8% are Hispanic, and 3% are Asian American, Pacific Islander, or Asian. I contacted Dugan's lawyers, and they told me, "We are certainly happy to see the Academy making many of the changes for which Ms. Dugan advocated. That said, it is in many ways too little too late. These changes were only made after Ms. Dugan was put on leave, slandered, sued in arbitration, and terminated. The Academy unfortunately continues to retaliate against Ms. Dugan and pursue utterly baseless claims against her in arbitration, and has done nothing to help restore her good name and reputation." I asked the Recording Academy for a response to this statement, but they didn't reply to me. Making the Recording Academy more diverse may not be enough to get BTS the Grammy, or let's face it, the GRAMMYs. They so richly deserve this year. But the question is, who needs whom more? In a fair world, BTS would have already taken home a sweet stack of gilded gramophones. Their work has all of the artistic and technical hallmarks the Recording Academy looks for when choosing its winners.
You know, when you listen to Dynamite, it does sound very much like the type of thing that Grammy voters would appreciate. It has that, super high production value. It's got that sheen, that shine, and I think that, it would not shock me if they got a nomination in Record of the Year. I think that any attention for BTS would represent a broader, more complex vision of what the best or what great music is, and that's ultimately a good thing. I think that what would benefit all of us in this moment would be a larger tent around acceptance and inclusion and around the idea of greatness, right? That there should be many, many more ways of being great that we should make space for.
The truth is, BTS is paving the way, with or without the Recording Academy's recognition. Their Billboard Hot 100 #1, and all of their previous chart records, proves that no matter how they're treated by the institutions that controlled so much of the music industry, the power of their fandom knows no bounds. One thing's for sure, A.R.M.Y will take BTS to the top, no matter what the older rich white men in charge think. Meanwhile, things seem to be getting even more difficult for the Grammys. If Dugan's allegations and the dwindling respect from artists of colour weren't enough, its viewership is dropping too. What's known as Music's Biggest Night had its lowest viewership in 12 years in 2020. Out of all of the performances that night, BTS's appearance alongside Lil Nas X is the most viewed, with over 37 million views on YouTube. And their massive global following continues to grow on a daily basis. If it does give BTS some nominations this year, the extra attention is virtually guaranteed to boost the show's numbers, either through viewership or social media engagement. If anything, the Grammys needs BTS a lot more than BTS needs a Grammy. Thanks for watching.